com.
I'm Brandy Bruley, Superintendent of Taylorville Schools. At Taylorville Schools, we prepare every student for success. We're making great progress on our new Fine Arts Center with the approval of the exterior design. Exciting things are ahead for our students and community. Learn more at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
WTIM. You're listening to the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. The show is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm your host, Reed Kamai, and finishing things off today on this Thursday is Lisa Peterson, a food and nutrition educator at the University of Illinois Extension. Lisa, good to talk to you again.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you back in studio this time, because I think you were over the phone last time, and I think that's always better, just having people in the studio talking in person. I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah.
So I'm also a big fan of some of the classes you've recently had going on, and one of the classes I was going to ask about, even before you suggested it, before we got on, is that brain health class.
Yes.
And eating the right foods for your brain. How did that go?
Yeah, great. It was the University of Illinois Extension. We actually partnered with Taylorville Memorial Hospital, which has been a fantastic partner. Memorial Health has been great all year. So we've been doing about quarterly classes with them. So we did a nutrition, eating for your brain health. In that class, we actually had 21 participants, which was fantastic. So we were thrilled because we do tend to get people who sign up and don't show. So we're very, very excited with our turnout. What we do is we talk for the first 30 to 40 minutes, and then I put them into small groups, and they make a bunch of different recipes. So the class isn't just on education. We also get you some hands-on exposure to making some of these foods that are good for you, and hopefully increasing your confidence in the kitchen, as well as increasing your kind of connection to the community. So it's a great way to get to talk to people and to see what they're eating and things that are helping with their brain health. But this class was really fun. We actually made a watermelon feta salad. So very related to the high lycopene in there, very good for your brain health, and it's in season. So that's the other big thing with watermelon. They made tuna patties, which I was very nervous about, because anytime I bring in fish, which is very good for your brain health, again, omega-3 fatty acids, about 60% of your brain is fat. And people forget you need some of these fatty fish to help absorb other nutrients. But those went over really good. We actually had one of our participants say that they usually don't eat fish, but they really enjoyed these. So that was really fun. We did some taco bowls, which it's always good to do those kind of foods because those are ones everybody loves. But what we made them unique was we used lean ground turkey. So again, a little bit less on the saturated fat, and we added quinoa to it. So we added that whole grain pasta that's also a complete protein. So that was a great addition. They also did a roasted chicken and a white bean salad. So again, a little bit more unique. We added in some beans. And then we kind of topped everything off, and they did a red, white, and blue parfait for the holiday. So that was really fun. The parfait is, again, a little more unique. It's not just yogurt and fruit. We actually add in some whipped topping, but make sure it's sugar-free, and add a little bit more vanilla. And then they layer it with blueberries and strawberries. So again, very simple, something fun that the whole family can make, and as well as a little bit healthier, because we are working in some Greek yogurt in there. So,
okay. No,
yeah.
that is super cool.
Yeah.
Really unique. Just recipe ideas. Like you wouldn't necessarily think of some of the pairings that you suggested, but yeah, you got it right there. And then the way I was thinking of it right now is that it helps our brain health so that we know what to eat later.
Yes. Yep.
So
and that's it.
Yeah. So it's kind of a full circle thing right there. So that's great. And it's great that you had the attendance that you did as well. Anything else you want to mention about that class before we move on to one of the future ones?
Yeah. So when we talked about eating for brain health, we do get into, I really went into detail on something called the MIND diet. So brain mind diet. It's more of a newer diet, but what it does is it brings in that Mediterranean diet that we encourage Americans kind of to pursue. We're seeing a lot of people following it and having some great results, as well as the DASH diet. So it's a combination. That DASH diet is a dietary approach to stopping hypertension, which focuses more on the low sodium. So when your doctor tells you you have high blood pressure, they often recommend the DASH diet. Well, the MIND diet is a combination of those two. So it really is looking at how do we prevent cognitive delay overall. It isn't necessarily a weight loss diet. That's one thing they talk about, but they are finding in the research people are losing weight following it. It's not super restrictive, but it does have 10 food groups, which is a little bit more unique. So they do kind of separate out those leafy greens as well as the berries. So they make them their own food groups in there, which is a little bit more unique. It definitely pushes more towards fruits and vegetables. It is a little bit more heavy also on the plant-based side. They do tell you to limit red meat. They also tell you to limit cheese. So I tell people if they're looking at diets and they are a big red meat or cheese eater, this diet is an adjustment. But again, they're finding some excellent research that people who are following it are reducing the risk of Alzheimer's disease. So if you have more questions about it, always feel free to reach out to the extension office. We'll provide you the research and kind of talk about the tools we can provide. That's every class we do try to make sure we give you handouts or something that'll help you in the future with understanding this, including recipes. But it is important that you kind of understand where the research is coming from on it.
Yeah, and that's great that you give those resources.
Yes.
And the way I see it is it kind of helps you get it, retain the knowledge and bring it, with you outside of the classroom or the kitchen or wherever it is you're having that class. So, so that's great. And I can tell you that diet would be an adjustment for me. I'll tell you that right there. So, no, that is great that you had that going on. And I remember when you were telling me about it over the phone, I was just intrigued, like from start to finish. Yeah. And same for everything you shared just now. So, So yeah, I'm happy about that. And I want to move on to a class that you're going to have at the end of this month, tomato preservation. Yes. Okay, yeah, because I know a lot of people are planting tomatoes. How can they preserve them?
Yeah, so this class is really fun. We've done a version of it with jams and jellies already here in Christian County, so in our Taylorville office. What it is how we set it up is, again, very similar to the Mind Diet class that we did with TMH, but we talk for the first 30 to 40 minutes, and then we do some hands-on activities. So in this case, what we'll actually have them doing is preserving salsa. So they're actually going to make salsa and then they're going to can it. So we do have all the equipment in the office. I put you in groups and then you chop a bunch of the vegetables, you heat it up, and then you actually boiling water bath can it. So that's only part of it. Of course, that's the hands-on section. We'll be actually canning. So practice actually preserving these foods. But this class will go into kind of the drying side of tomatoes as well as freezing. So we go through all the different aspects of freezing or preserving tomatoes, but the more focus will be on the canning side. So we're not going to pressure can. I will talk about it, but we are going to be doing some boiling water bath canning here. And the big thing when we talk about tomatoes, of course, is adding acid. So anytime you're preserving tomatoes, you have to add an acid, whether it's lemon juice, citric acid, or vinegar. That is a requirement for canning tomatoes because the pH is our concern, and there's so many different varieties of tomatoes out there. You got to make sure that pH is below 4.6. So how do we guarantee it? You add acid. A lot of people don't like adding vinegar, and that's fine. They can add lemon juice. They can add citric acid, but that's something we really emphasize in this class, and we give you the resources on it as well.
Okay, so you got to add the acid to take it below 4.6, and is that because of just the ability to preserve the food, or is it like a safety thing?
It's a safety thing. It's more to prevent botulism. So Clostridium botulinum, that is a very, very dangerous toxin that we find in food that is improperly canned. So we often say there's a big story that came out in the news about people who canned potatoes, and they were sweet church ladies, and they didn't know that you're supposed to pressure can that, not boiling water bath. They killed a couple people, sent a bunch to the hospital. You can't see this botulism. So that's where you got to make sure you're preserving it correctly, as well as adding acid. Even if you're boiling water bath canning tomatoes, you've got to add acid. So typically if you're doing a salsa, you're adding some type of acid to it. And that's where we're using a scientifically tested recipe to do that. But if you're just going to home can tomatoes, say I'm going to do the chopped or the raw and put them in a jar, you still got to add an acid. And like I said, lemon juice is great. Citric acid is great. Vinegar, you can offset it with sugar. But for the most part, when people are canning tomatoes, they'll go for the lemon juice or the citric acid. But we do go through that in very much detail in this class. And again, they get hands-on practice making this salsa. Of course, in this class, you will get to take home your salsa. So whatever you make, you'll get to take home. We do have a small fee. I believe it's about $10, but that will be actually I think it's a Tuesday or Thursday night. I think it might be Thursday, July 30th. Yeah. Yep. So it is fun. It's from 5:30 to 8 o'clock, and we'll be working on the canning side. And the nice part about these classes too that I love is, yes, we do start out with kind of a presentation style, but I have more people asking questions when we're actually making it. So, and that's what we love about it. Again, you can ask people next to you, working with community members, and then we're comfortable asking questions once we're actually canning. So yeah, we're hoping we'll get a good crowd. We're really excited about it. It's always fun when they're kind of in the evenings, and you'll get to take home some salsa.
That is great. And that church group definitely should have gone to your class if you had it recently. But just the hands-on component, getting to interact with other people. Yeah. I would certainly hope for you folks and the attendees that's a draw to your classes. So yeah, July 30th. Did you mention the location?
Yeah, so it'll be at the Christian County Extension Office.
Okay.
So here in Taylorville. To register, you can actually go online to go.illinois.edu/canning tomatoes cc, or super easy. You can also just do extension.illinois.edu/CJMM and look for events, and you can see every program coming up within Extension. The other option too with this is if you want to know what's coming up with us, email one of our offices and we'll add you to our newsletter. So we do send out a monthly newsletter that tells you every program that's happening within the 4 counties. And we've actually grown quite a bit with how many people are on that list, but make sure to check the county. So if you live in Taylorville, you might not want to drive to Jerseyville, but this is a great way. We don't spam you. We send you 1 email a month, but it tells you every program we have coming up in the counties. So
no, I love that. And whether through the newsletter or just going to the events page, the way I see it, right? I'm even sure if I did that, I would, look for the class I'm looking for and maybe stumble upon something else you hadn't mentioned for whatever reason, and then sign up for that. Of course, I know there are classes for, across everything you do at the extension, not just what you are involved in as Lisa Peterson, food and nutrition educator at the University of Illinois Extension. Let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll have plenty more to talk about, plenty of timely topics as well. And that'll be right here on the WTIM Morning Show on your information station.
Your information station. WTIM.
Now on the RFD Radio Network, I'm Jim Taylor. Corn, beans, and Chicago wheat remain higher at this hour. July corn up 3, 424. September corn up 3, 425 and 3/4. December corn up 2 1/4, 444 1/2. July beans up 6 1/2, 1132 and 3/4. August beans up 3 1/4, 1136 1/2. And November beans 1151 and 3/4, up 2 1/2. July Chicago wheat up 6, 598. July KC wheat is up 2 3/4, 626. July bean meal 307 even, up 40 cents. July bean oil up 48 cents, 67.50. Livestock trade August feeders down $1.07, 363.07. August live cattle 241.37, down 45 cents. July lean hogs up 2 cents, 93.37. Energy market September Brent crude oil 70.79, down 78 cents. This is the RFD Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Drew Peabody with First National Bank on Spresser, and I've got great news for future homeowners. Through the Federal Home Loan Bank's Down Payment Plus program, qualified buyers may receive grant funds to help with their down payment and closing costs. That means less out of pocket and a faster path to owning your home. If rising upfront costs have been holding you back, this program could make all the difference. Give me a call today at 287-2003. Let's open the door to your new home together. First National Bank on Spresser, the quality bank. Equal housing lender.
Hello, I'm Will Perkins, the new owner of Taylorville Home Source. I'm committed to continuing the local service you've always counted on, along with the same great flooring options, kitchen cabinets, shower systems, and design expertise that Taylorville Home Source is known for. Stop by 1316 East Park, online at TaylorvilleHomesource.com, or via phone at 217-824-6121. Taylorville Home Source, your one source local design center.
If you're looking for music that stood the test of time, join me, Randy Miller, Sunday mornings from 6 to 8 on 96.5thechill.com. I host Steady Ground Replay, a 2-hour journey back to the roots of contemporary Christian music. From the songs that started a movement to the hits that formed our foundation, it's 2 hours of timeless encouragement. Steady Ground Replay, standing on the music that built our faith. Sunday morning, 6 to 8 on 96.5thechill.com.
Parents, your Christian County Health Department at 730 North Pawnee in Taylorville offers back-to-school immunizations at little or no cost for kindergarten, 6th, 11th, or 12th grade. Get details by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
At First National Bank in Taylorville, switching banks isn't a hassle. It's easy by real people who care. Find out why they've been first every time for over 70 years by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
WTIM.
Welcome back to the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. The show is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm your host, Reed Kamai, and I continue my conversation with Lisa Peterson, food and nutrition educator at the University of Illinois Extension. We talked about some recent classes, a forthcoming class that they'll have at the Extension office in Christian County. And I want to turn to a topic that is very relevant nowadays, and also in the last couple moments, as far as I'm concerned, on this end of the table, staying hydrated.
Yeah.
And obviously very hot outside, and that makes the need to stay hydrated even more so, really. And I'd love to hear more from you as a food and nutrition educator on some of those needs and what folks can do about it.
Yeah. So when we talk about staying hydrated, I mean, your body is 60% water. So that's one thing when we talk about it. It is essential for our body. It improves our skin, keeps it moist. It also helps reduce that risk of urinary tract infections, kidney stones. That's a big one too. It also helps with digestion. People forget how important water is when it comes to digesting food. It can also help if you're dealing with constipation, getting plenty of water in there. We always say if you up the fiber in your diet, which we hope people are doing with adding more fruits and vegetables in there, is that if you're adding more fiber, you need to add more water too. So making sure you are finding ways to keep yourself hydrated. It also, there's some research out there that does find it does reduce stress on the body. So making sure you are getting enough water in your body can help with that stress reduction as well. They've also found that with brain health, as we just talked about, staying hydrated actually supports focus and memory. So making sure you are getting plenty of water in, because it'll help with your focus. I know when we get up in the morning, we're often, if you're groggy, you're tempted to go right to that caffeine, to that cup of coffee. And I'm guilty of it too. I'm a big coffee drinker, but having a glass of water first, that does help. That helps with hydration. It helps wake your body up. So making sure you are getting those needs in. That's one of the myths we hear a lot about, is that 8 cups a day. I need to get 8 cups of water a day. And that's a very much a debatable area in the field of nutrition and health. The Institute of Medicine does provide some general recommendations on beverage intake. So they don't focus just on water. They include things like coffee, tea, milk, 100% juices. That doesn't include things with added sugar in it. So it does limit kind of that pop or soda, things like that. But for men, the general recommendation is 13 cups a day. And for women, it's roughly about 9 cups a day. So the best way to know if you've stayed hydrated, which isn't always a pretty topic, but it's your urine color. So when you go to the bathroom, what color is it? And we say if it's the color of like apple juice or cider, so it's a dark yellow, that's concerning. That's where you guys should start drinking a little bit more water in there. The color we kind of aim for is lemonade. So, of course, not the prettiest of topics, but that is the best way to gauge your hydration, is what color is your urine coming out of your body. And again, if you see it's really, really dark, you need to make sure you're drinking more fluids. So, and there's different ways to get them in. Like we said, I didn't just say water. Water, of course, is the best way, but a lot of people don't like plain water. So you be drinking potentially 100% fruit juice? Yes, that's one way to stay hydrated. With sneaking in, there's a myth that if you drink too much coffee, it's a diuretic. That is a myth, that you lose all that fluid, and that's not true. So coffee is a way to stay hydrated, as is tea, as well as milk as well. So finding ways to kind of do a variety of drinks. Of course, water's the best way, but there is a way to still stay hydrated. And fruits and vegetables give you a significant amount of liquids too. So especially we talk about watermelon, cucumbers, zucchini, those all have high water content. So that's another way to stay hydrated.
Yeah. And well, hey, certain foods you mentioned are good for your brain too. So,
yes.
So that's worth noting too. I do actually want to go back to the topic of urine color, because I know in some cases it may be a it may not look all that yellow at all.
Yes.
And is that, like, what does that mean necessarily?
Yeah. So if it's almost clear, that's usually a sign of overhydration.
Okay.
So not a bad thing, but you do think, okay, it's time to cut back a little bit. If it's that clear, you're just getting a little bit too much fluids in you. So again, the gold color there is lemonade.
Okay.
That's kind of where we want to be at. And signs of dehydration, you see them, they're all different for every person. So that's same with when I say there's no exact number of how many cups of water you need, because every person is different. It can depend on age. It can depend on how active you are. That all plays into how much hydration there is. So like thirst, dry mouth. If you get a headache, that could be a sign of dehydration. So things like tiredness, if you're starting to feel really dizzy or being confused, especially if you're outside a lot, you want to up that drinking more water, more fluids. Keep that water bottle close to you.
Yeah. So we're going for the lemonade color.
Yes.
All right. I might have to keep a cup of lemonade next to the toilet, right? So I
give
can
you an
compare,
idea
right?
of that.
So
Yeah.
that's what I'm going to start doing, potentially.
Yeah.
Lisa Peterson, food and nutrition educator at the University of Illinois Extension. Great conversation as always, Lisa. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Yes, and thank you for listening to the WTIM morning show on your information station. And remember, we are off tomorrow for our observance of the 4th of July. So the WTIM morning show will be back on a Monday, same time as usual. Enjoy your holiday.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville. 96.1 FM Taylorville. 107.5 FM Shelbyville. 107.9 FM